Why didn't you pick your phone? That was the first sentence that landed on my skin like a slap. Not, are you okay? Not, did anything happen? Just, why didn't you pick? I stood in my kitchen in Ogba, work shoes still on, handbag still on my shoulder, looking at my phone like it had committed a crime against everybody I knew. The screen was alive again, and it was screaming. 73 missed calls. I stared so long my eyes began to sting. Then I laughed, one short, dry sound. Not because it was funny, because it was terrifying. Because in that number, I saw my real role in people's lives. Not friend, not sister, not colleague, emergency contact. I didn't plan to disappear that day. Nothing dramatic happened, no fight, no breakup, no illness. My phone battery simply died. I noticed it at a traffic light in Ikea, 1% blinking like a warning light I'd ignored too many times. The next second, the screen went black. Normally, I would panic. I would pull into a filling station and beg for a charger. I would buy a power bank from the first roadside vendor. I would borrow someone's phone to send a quick message because my life had become a 24/7 customer service line. But that day, I didn't. I just drove. And the first strange thing that happened wasn't peace. It was guilt. The kind of guilt that sits on your chest when you've trained people to expect you. I kept reaching for the dead phone like muscle memory. Like my hand didn't know how to rest. By the time I got to work in Maryland, the silence had settled around me like a different perfume. No buzzing, no vibrating, no name lighting up my screen, just me and my thoughts. I told myself I'd charge it later. I lied. I walked into the office and did what I always did, carried responsibility like it was my surname. My name is Tomiwa Adekunle, 33 years old, Lagos girl. Structured, reliable. The one people describe with that word Nigerians love, she's strong. As if strength is a personality. I work as an operations coordinator for a logistics company, one of those jobs where you fix problems before they become embarrassing, and nobody praises you until you stop doing it. That morning, I attended meetings, replied emails, smiled when people asked for small help, reviewed reports, approved deliveries. For the first time in years, nobody could reach me, and nothing collapsed. At least, not immediately. Around lunchtime, it started. That itch, that restless anxiety that comes when you're used to being needed. I kept imagining messages stacking up like plates in a sink. I kept hearing voices in my head. Tomiwa will handle it. She's always online. She doesn't sleep. And because I'm Nigerian, because we're trained to carry guilt like handbag, I almost went to charge the phone. Almost. Then I remembered something small and ugly. The last time my uncle died, I cried in the bathroom at work. Do you know who called to check on me? Nobody. But let my phone be off for 2 hours and suddenly the world is ending. So I left it. At 3:47 p.m., I plugged the phone in. The moment it came alive, it vibrated so hard it almost fell off the table. 73 missed calls, over 100 messages, WhatsApp, regular calls, office line, Telegram, even Instagram DMs like I was a celebrity ignoring fans. The first few messages were normal. Kemi, my close friend. Babe, are you around? Quick one. Mama. Tommy, call me. Aide, my cousin. Please pick, important. Kioma from church. Sis, you're not picking. Hope everything is fine. That one almost made me smile. Then the tone changed. Kemi. Tomiwa, you're scaring me. Where are you? Aide. Why are you ignoring me? Mama. So you can't pick your phone now? Office colleague. We've been calling you. Please respond. Kemi again. This is urgent. By the time I reached the bottom, people weren't worried. They were angry, and the thought that crept into my mind was cold and clear. Nobody actually cared if I was okay. They cared that I wasn't available. I returned the first call. It was Kemi. Finally! Her voice came through sharp and relieved. I've been calling you since morning. My phone died, I said, calm. A pause. Then, okay, but I needed you earlier. Anyway, And just like that, she stepped over my existence and entered her emergency. No, are you safe? No, what happened? No, sorry, babe, just need. I hung up after the call ended and leaned back in my chair, staring at the office ceiling. Something felt off. So I scrolled again. One message from my colleague Farouk stood out. We assumed you'd handle it. Another from Kemi. I didn't think I needed a backup because you're always available. That word again. Always. I started replaying my life backwards like CCTV footage. The midnight calls, the quick favor, the emotional dumping sessions disguised as friendship, the way people call you only when their life is shaking. I realized something uncomfortable. People didn't solve problems anymore. They forwarded them to me. They didn't lean on me. They stood on me. And the scariest part? They'd built their plans around that assumption. At 6 p.m., the call that changed everything came from my manager, Mr. Afalabi. His voice wasn't angry, it was stressed. "Why didn't you step in earlier?" he asked. My eyebrows lifted. "Step in where?" I asked. "The client situation," he replied. "We waited for your input." "You didn't tell me," I said slowly. A pause. "Well, we thought you'd notice." That was when it clicked. Decisions were being delayed because of me. Not because I asked to control things, but because everyone assumed I would catch them. It was like I'd been carrying a tray for so long, they forgot trays can fall. When I got home that night, I didn't charge the phone again. That was the real test. Not one day, a weekend. Because one day is accident. A weekend is choice. Saturday morning, my phone was still off. And I noticed something I hadn't felt in years. My body was quiet. No urgency, no panic, no pressure to perform usefulness. I made breakfast slowly. I ate like a human being, not like someone doing a pit stop between other people's crises. Then I did something I hadn't done in months. I sat down and asked myself, who am I when nobody needs me? That question made my throat tighten, because I didn't know. By noon, I turned the phone on for 10 minutes. It was chaos. My cousin Aid had sent voice notes. My mother had typed paragraphs. Kemi had called 17 times. My church group had messages. My work group had messages. And buried inside the noise, one sentence stood out like a knife. If Tomiwa had been available, this wouldn't have happened. I read it twice, then again. Something in my chest shifted. Not anger, clarity. They weren't upset because I disappeared. They were upset because their system failed. And I was the system. I didn't reply. I turned the phone off again. That evening, I went to visit my auntie in Agege, the auntie that always asks deep questions with a calm voice. She looked at me and said, "You look rested." I almost cried, because nobody had said that to me in years. I asked for water and sat on her sofa like a daughter. She didn't ask for money. She didn't ask for favors. She didn't ask for help. She just looked at me and said, "What's on your mind?" I told her the truth, that I felt like a plug everybody uses, that I was tired, that the moment I wasn't reachable, everyone became angry. Auntie listened quietly, then said something that hit me like wisdom I didn't want. "Tomiwa, you trained them." I blinked. She continued, "You trained them that you will always answer, you will always fix, you will always show up. So now they don't know how to respect a boundary they've never seen." I swallowed. She leaned forward, voice soft but sharp. "The way you value yourself is the way others value you." That sentence sat in my stomach like hot pepper, because she was right. I had been acting like my time was cheap, so everyone priced me that way. On Monday, I went to work with my phone on. But I didn't pick the first call. I watched it ring. It was Kemi. I let it ring out. A minute later, a text. "Tommy, I beg pick, it's urgent." I didn't. I finished what I was doing first. Then I replied with one line, "I'm in a meeting, text me what it is." There was a pause before her reply came. "Oh, okay." That "oh" told me everything. She wasn't used to waiting. People were used to my instant availability like free Wi-Fi. That day, every time someone called, I asked a question before I acted. What is it about? Have you tried solving it? What do you need exactly? Some people adjusted, others didn't. Some people got irritated. One colleague said, "Tommy, you've changed." I smiled politely, and inside my head I thought, yes, I have, because the old version of me was too easy to use. Later that week, I sat across from Kemi at a small cafe in Surulere. She was talking fast, complaining about her boss, her landlord, her stress. As she spoke, I realized something that made me feel cold. She wasn't telling me a story. She was handing me a burden. And when she paused and said, "So, what do you think I should do?" I didn't jump. I didn't rescue. I didn't build her plan. I just said, "Kemi, you've got this." Her face tightened. "Babe, help me think now," she insisted. I took a slow breath, and in that moment, the suspense in my life wasn't external. It was inside me. Would I betray myself again, or would I finally choose myself? I looked at her gently. "Kemi, I love you," I said. "But I can't be your emergency system anymore." Silence. Her eyes widened. So you're doing like this now?" she asked, half joking, half offended. I nodded. "I'm doing like this," I said softly. And the truth is, she didn't argue much after that, because people rarely fight when they still believe you'll return to your old role. They just wait, and I knew they were waiting. The real test came 2 weeks later. My mother called. I picked. Her voice was sharp. "So now you don't pick again?" she asked. I didn't defend myself. I didn't apologize quickly. I just asked, "Mama, what's wrong?" She paused. Then she said, "I wanted to ask you to send money for your uncle's daughter's wedding." I exhaled. In the past, that request would have come with guilt and drama, but now I asked a simple question. "Has anybody else contributed?" I asked. My mother scoffed. "You know you're the one that can do it." And there it was, not love, assignment. I held the phone gently. "Mama," I said, voice calm, "I can help small, but I'm not sponsoring it." Silence. Then her tone dropped like a curse. So you've become stingy." I closed my eyes, and I remembered my auntie's sentence. The way you value yourself is the way others value you. If I valued myself, I had to act like it, even when people accused me. So I replied with respect and firmness, "I'm not stingy, Mama. I'm learning balance." She cut the call. It hurt, but something else happened too. For the first time, I didn't run after her with guilt, because self-respect is not loud. It's consistent. Weeks passed. Something changed in my world. People began to ask before dumping. Some people drifted away. Yes, but the ones who stayed learned a new version of me. A version that didn't pick every call. A version that didn't fix every crisis. A version that could breathe. One Friday night, I sat in my living room, phone on the table, notifications quiet. And I realized the biggest twist of all? When I stopped being reachable, I became visible. Not as a tool, as a person, because you can't keep making yourself available like a free resource and expect people to treat you like treasure. Treasure is protected. Treasure has boundaries. Treasure is not handed out to anyone who demands it. So here's what I learned, and this is the moral I'll leave you with. The way you value yourself is the way others value you. If you price your time at 0, people will spend it like it's nothing. If you treat your peace like it doesn't matter, people will disturb it without apology. But the moment you start honoring yourself, calmly, consistently, people either adjust or they leave. And both outcomes are a kind of freedom. If this story hit you, tell me in the comments. Have you ever realized people only loved your usefulness? And if you're new here, subscribe, like, and share, because no one should live their life as someone else's structure. Not in Lagos, not anywhere.